What characters in Dragon Ball do have a character arc, in my opinion? Before I go into this, I'm going to do a brief overview of what character arcs are. Character arcs are a character's internal conflict between a truth and a lie, basically something they believe and an alternative to that belief. You can have a progressive character arc in which a character believes something, goes through some sort of trial, and comes out believing a different thing. These could be positive or negative. They can have a flat character arc in which they go into a story believing something, that belief is tested on some emotional level, but they come out believing the same thing as they did before. Or they can have no character arc in which a character's beliefs and emotions are not tested and instead they're largely tested physically. A good example of this is Indiana Jones. Now, this comment comes from a video where I said Goku has no character arc, but most other characters in Dragon Ball do have character arcs. Vegeta is a very well-known character arc. He begins the series believing in his own superiority and the Saiyan race's superiority as a conquering race. He believes that strength is the only thing that's important and genetics are the only things that tie into strength. All of these beliefs are eventually tested, and he has that infamous monologue in the Buu Saga where he finds that he's come to like the people of Earth, and he is okay living in Goku's shadow, and he's found other things to care about other than being the Prince of all Saiyans, and then sacrifices his life to protect those things. That is a progressive character arc. Gohan, another great example. Gohan starts as a pacifist, and he still doesn't like fighting. But as he grows up and he goes through the Cell arc and beyond, he realizes that sometimes you need to fight to protect what you love. Violence is sometimes necessary. And his progression through the Cell arc has been his internal conflict between becoming violent in the ways that he's afraid of, like the villains he's seen, and becoming violent in the ways that the heroes around him have showcased, like his father, like Krillin. Speaking of Krillin, Krillin is a great example of a flat character arc. I know a lot of people get defensive and say that Goku has a flat character arc. Again, no character arc is not a character flaw. Many characters are written specifically to not have a character arc. Many main characters are written specifically to not have a character arc. This is very common in disaster genres, and Dragon Ball Z is kind of a disaster genre / shonen anime. If you think about it, the main story beats of Dragon Ball, especially Dragon Ball Z, are there is some threat, we need to overcome that threat. It's pretty much the same as any disaster movie, like a volcano or a meteor or something is going to impact the Earth, but like instead of it being some natural disaster, it's an alien. Anyway, I got off topic. Krillin. Krillin starts knowing he's not as powerful as Goku and still believes he has to do what he must to protect the world. Through the Buu Saga, he comes to a point where that is tested, and he says, I'm not sure that I can do anything because I'm not powerful enough. And then in the Tournament of Power, he ends up coming back and saying, it does not matter that I'm not powerful enough, I still have to do what it takes to protect the world. He starts in a place, he ends at the same place, but is tested in the middle. That's the flat character arc. And then there are a lot of minor character arcs, like 18 starts as a villain, doesn't have any respect for human life, and then ends up having respect for human life. Mr. Satan starts as a pompous con man and ends as an integral part of society that interacts with all the Dragon Ball warriors. So yeah, lots of stories have character arcs, but in this disaster-esque genre, usually the main character does not. And thus Goku mostly does not. His resolve is never emotionally tested. He never comes in contact with that lie, that alternative. Or if he does, he never considers it, even for a second. A lot of people are like, well, Vegeta confronts him with a lie, this idea that, Saiyans are a conquering race. But Goku never buys into it, not for a second. There is no test. There is no conflict. The conflict is what makes the arc. Goku's conflicts are physical. And those are perfectly fine conflicts. They're just not character arcs. And again, this is something that Akira Toriyama himself has basically commented on. Goku is written to be a part of the setting, to be something that other people evolve around. Goku is the paragon of goodness. He is the person that always overcomes whatever physical threat there is. Other people emotionally react to that. And this parallels the godly myth. Stories that we have about deities that don't change but do these spectacular things and change the people around them. Those deities also don't have character arcs. They necessarily have to not have character arcs. They need to stay the same from beginning to end. But their deeds change the world, and the mortals they interact with end up changing. While Goku's not a god, in Dragon Ball Super, debatable, he's put in this same position. To be the unchanging character, the unchanging force of nature with no character arc as other people change around him.